Keir Starmer becomes UK PM as Conservatives suffer record defeat in huge Labour landslide. It is being described as an electoral apocalypse. London, a change election in the United Kingdom has taken place as the centre-left Labour Party won a huge landslide, putting a crushing end to the 14-year rule of the Conservative Party, which suffered a record devastating defeat, perhaps the worst in its history. Voters have inflicted a historic wipe-out on the Tory party that led Britain through Brexit and, with almost all results called, Labour has won over 400 seats, gaining a huge majority of more than 190, comparable to Tony Blair's sweeping victory in 1997. The Tories, meanwhile, have lost hundreds of seats, on track for the worst result since the party's founding in the 1830s. Labour's Keir Starmer became Prime Minister Friday morning after Rishi Sunak resigned in front of King Charles III, and Starmer met him immediately after to ask for permission to form a government, a formality that was granted by the reigning monarch. Starmer is now the first Labour leader to win an election since Tony Blair. The result is notable as a win for centrist progressives amid the far-right populist surge in the US and many other major Western countries as the British electorate voted overwhelming to sweep out the Tories, blaming their anger at the crumbling state of Britain's public services and years of political chaos following Brexit. Starmer only became the Labour leader in 2019 and has dragged his party back to the centre ground, wrestling it away from the influence of Bernie Sanders-like left-wing former leader Jeremy Corbyn. Starmer ran on a platform to end the chaos and to begin slowly reinvigorating Britain's services and infrastructure. He has also promised to move away from culture war debates, including Brexit, saying the UK will not rejoin in his lifetime. The Tories, meanwhile, are now enduring what one of its leading figures described last night as an electoral apocalypse. Many of the party's best-known figures lost their seats on Thursday, including a record number of cabinet ministers, including former Prime Minister Liz Truss, who was unceremoniously swept aside, as well as a lead campaigner of Brexit, Jacob Rees-Mogg. Outgoing Prime Minister Rishi Sunak held his own seat but led a weak campaign after choosing to call the snap election 6 weeks ago, making repeated gaffes, most damagingly returning home early from D-Day commemorations to do a TV interview. Sunak, the last of 5 consecutive Conservative Prime Ministers since 2016, lasted just 18 months in the job. Labour has a number of challenges in front of them now as they attempt to govern the country as the Tories suffered such a massive defeat, in part because of the rise of a far-right anti-immigrant populist party, Reform, led by Brexiteer-in-chief Nigel Farage, who finally was elected to Parliament, took huge chunks of the Tory vote. Also concerning for Labour, despite their enormous majority, the party won a record low proportion of the total popular vote, only around 35%. That suggests despite a strong desire for change and to give Labour a chance, there is little overall enthusiasm for Starmer. Starmer now faces a challenge to meet the potential of his huge majority. Unlike when Blair came to power, the UK is facing a far more difficult economic outlook and ominous state finances, making fixing Britain's struggling public services daunting. Starmer, however, has acknowledged as much, saying throughout the campaign and following his victory that improvement will be slow and hard at first. He has promised to hit the ground running, pledging to cut short Parliament's summer recess to start work on his agenda, with Labour saying they will focus immediately on issues like housing. as well as confronting an urgent crisis of overcrowding in prisons. The more modest promises reflect the more difficult realities Britain faces, but is also a marked change in tone from right-wing populist forces rising elsewhere across Europe. Keir Starmer, new Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Who is he? Keir Starmer, elected as the new Prime Minister of the United Kingdom on July 5, 2024, led the Labour Party to a landslide victory, ending 14 years of Conservative rule. This victory highlighted the public's desire for change after years of political and economic instability. Early life and background. Born on September 2, 1962, in Southwark, London, Starmer grew up in Oxted, Surrey. His mother, a nurse, and his father, a toolmaker, shaped his working-class upbringing. His mother's struggle with Still's disease instilled in him a deep respect for the NHS. Starmer was the first in his family to attend university, studying law at Leeds and Oxford. Legal career. Starmer began his legal career as a barrister in 1987, focusing on human rights. He co-founded Doughty Street Chambers in 1990 and became Director of Public Prosecutions in 2008. He was knighted in 2014 for his services to law and criminal justice. Political career. Elected as the MP for Holborn and St Pancras in 2015, Starmer quickly rose through Labour's ranks, serving in various shadow cabinet positions. He became Labour leader in 2020, focusing on repositioning the party towards the centre and making it more electable after Jeremy Corbyn's leadership. 2024 general election victory. Starmer's Labour Party won 412 seats in the House of Commons, while the Conservatives secured only 121. His victory speech emphasized a day of renewal and the need to restore public trust in politics. He promised a government that prioritizes public service over party interests. Policies and vision. Starmer's key policies include economic reform, addressing income inequality and promoting fair taxation. Healthcare, reducing NHS waiting lists and investing in public health. Education, recruiting more teachers and improving standards. Public safety, increasing neighborhood police officers. Environmental policies, tackling climate change with realistic goals. Brexit, negotiating a better deal with the European Union. His pragmatic approach focuses on achievable goals and incremental improvements, avoiding grand promises. Personal life. Starmer is married to Victoria Alexander, a solicitor, and they have 2 children. Known for his reserved demeanor, he has faced criticism for lacking charisma, but is respected for his competence and integrity. His personal experiences, including the loss of his parents, have shaped his commitment to justice and public service. International relations. Starmer values the UK-US special relationship and has expressed admiration for President Joe Biden. The upcoming US presidential election could affect this dynamic, especially if Donald Trump returns to office. Challenges ahead. As Prime Minister, Starmer faces significant challenges. Restoring public trust, rebuilding confidence in political institutions. Economic recovery, navigating post-Brexit and global economic uncertainties. Social cohesion, addressing poverty and inequality. Political stability, managing internal party dynamics. Keir Starmer's leadership marks a new chapter in British politics. His legal expertise, commitment to public service, and pragmatic policy approach position him as a leader capable of navigating the UK through challenging times. His focus on